Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup, the podcast where we dive into the stories, people, and places driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Carrie Shields, and today's episode is incredibly special in honor of the holiday week. Earlier this year at Playeasy, we launched something called the Playeasy Purpose Project, an initiative designed to highlight and celebrate the individuals and organizations in our community who are creating real lasting impact through their work. The Purpose Project was built around a belief that central to everything that we do, that sports and events have the power to change people, places, and communities, and that the work we do is incredibly important. And behind every tournament, every event, and every experience that brings people together, there are leaders and organizations whose purpose goes far beyond logistics. Our second Purpose Project recipient is the Boys and Girls Clubs of Puerto Rico, nominated by Discover Puerto Rico, an organization whose impact reflects the very best of purpose-driven leadership in our industry. Serving more than 16,500 children and families across the island, BGCPR is dedicated to creating pathways for education, opportunity, and economic mobility. Their programs nurture academic success, personal growth, and community connection, giving young people the tools, confidence, and support they need to thrive. Under the leadership of CEO Alma Frontera, the organization delivered powerful moments of connection and celebration this year. From the Triple Play 2025 experience, captured in their dynamic recap and featured in national news coverage, to the high energy PSS Cheer and Rebel Athletic Showcase, which brought thousands of young athletes together in a safe, inspiring environment. These aren't just events, they're intentional platforms for belonging, mentorship, and joy. Boys and Girls Clubs of Puerto Rico embodies what the Purpose Project stands for, using sport as a catalyst for hope, community, and life, changing opportunity for young people across Puerto Rico. I loved this conversation with Alma. She brought such incredible energy, just like everyone that we've met from Discover Puerto Rico. And I'm very familiar with the Boys and Girls Club from being involved when I lived in Boston, and they just do incredible work across the country. And I hope you get something out of this. I think she's made such tremendous impact with her community, and it's true. It was truly easy to see the passion that she has to making a difference. And so I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Elma, welcome to the Plays World podcast.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I am so excited for this conversation. You were brought to us by Discover Puerto Rico, which is uh, one of the great groups that we have the benefit of working with through Playeasy. And so just really excited to have you. And so to kick us off, for our listeners who may not be familiar with the Boys and Girls Club of Puerto Rico, can you tell us what is the role it plays in the community across the island?
So, Boys and Girls Clubs of Puerto Rico is part of the nationwide movement, which is Boys and Girls Clubs of America. In Puerto Rico, in particular, we're one of the largest organizations. So, we currently have more than 25 sites. We attend kids all the way from 0 to so early Head Start, and then they go to our regular clubs when they're 6 years old, all the way to 18. But then we have a two-generational approach. So we also, we believe that to break the poverty cycle, you can't just work with the minor, you need to be able to work with the family. So we also attend adults all the way up to 60 years old.
Oh, that's incredible. And is that something specific to Puerto Rico as a whole, or is that across the nation with the Boys and Girls Club?
I would say every organization has a little bit of variance in it, but we're not the only ones that have this sort of combo. There are others as well. We just tend to be one of the largest organizations within the movement. But boys and girls really what it looks is to attend the community needs. So you'll see that each boys and girls sort of should be attending what that community really needs in particular, and that's the way we play it here as well.
That's awesome. And you are fairly new to this position, coming on last year after a very impressive career in the private sector. And so, what inspired you personally to make that shift? And what has it meant to you to step into this new role?
Um, I mean, first, I think it's any Puerto Rican will at some point mention the Hurricane Maria that happened almost 8 years ago to this point. And that just flipped a switch in me and said, I just woke up every day after that saying, if I'm personally, I just felt if I'm not doing something to help directly with the reconstruction of the island, I didn't know really what else everybody else should be doing. So I switched to the NGO sector. And then last year, the organization has been around for more than 58 years here in Puerto Rico. So it's one of the biggest NGOs in the island as well. And when the opportunity came about, it was a no-brainer for me. It took everything that I've been working and throughout my career in different sectors, just sort of put it all into one. So I was just very honored.
That's incredible. And you are managing one of the biggest boys and girls clubs across the country with over, I believe, 16,000 children and adults that you are serving as well across 25 centers. What are the
Yes.
most important needs that you're addressing today?
And I'm actually proud to say that you have the correct numbers. We're about to update those to now it's going up to 19,000 kids and adults, family members per year. And we have around more than 530 employees or team members in our local movement. Um, and it's just the work that we do every day, and it's all for the kids. I mean, we tell ourselves and everybody that works here at the end, we wake up and we go to bed just thinking about how we can make their lives better. How can we ensure that they have a safe space? How can we ensure that they're exposed to all the opportunities that they deserve, and to ensure that their development is really just full of experiences and knowledge and opportunity to really help them develop to the youth and the future of the country that we want.
That's awesome. And I've been able to experience Boys and Girls Club firsthand when I was at university in Boston, which is a big organization there. And so we were able to spend some time volunteering as student athletes within the center. And I always loved just the opportunity to see firsthand, one, the great work that you guys do, but two, the kids. And you mentioned your passion for sports and education. Could you speak to why do you think it's so important for kids to be involved, not just in school, but also in events and extracurricular activities outside of school?
Yeah, so we actually work with three main pillars. So one, like you're saying, is education, it's economic development, and then there's social. So it's very key, like you're saying, that education will always be core, will always be centered. But we want to ensure that we provide them with exposure to arts and culture. And then definitely sports and recreation for us is such a key because kids learn in many different ways, and not everything is in a book. And that doesn't necessarily always get to everybody, right? Because of our learning abilities and ways to learn just in general. So the fact that sports can come in being fun, and it's just a fun way to learn discipline, to learn teamwork, to learn life skills, soft skills, to just really prepare you for adulthood even. And sports even prepares you for it's part of workforce development. So and you have such a variety, right? Even just the fact that you can do individual sports, you can do team sports, and that doesn't mean that because you are doing, let's say you're playing golf, that you're not really gonna learn about teamwork or the fact that everything else, and the same vice versa. But we see the kids in the courts, we see them with their teachers and our leaders, and we see them, light up. And at the end, this is a career opportunity for many. This is the future. We're also trying to build, and for everybody, not just kids, by the way, I think this is not talked enough. The fact that you might not be a baseball player, but there's so many other career paths that are still involved with the sports. Let's say you loved baseball, right? So it's also exposing them to the fact that you don't necessarily need to only be the athlete. That it's not only the case. you can be so many other things, coach, producer, manager, people working at the venues, and all of this. So just making sure that they're introduced and know their options. And I don't know, sports is just a magical worldwide language for everybody.
I couldn't agree more. I was lucky I had a great education, but there was no greater educator than playing this every sport I had growing up, teaching just all of the intangibles that I needed in my professional career, which is why I'm so passionate about the work that we do and the work that you're doing hands on in the community. And so a big theme of our podcast and our work in general is around community and the importance of not just how can the Boys and Girls Club help, but how can groups like Discover Puerto Rico impact these kids' lives. Could you speak to the importance of that within Puerto Rico?
Well, definitely volunteering and the work like what you did in Boston is always needed. We have a formal volunteer program, so anybody that's interested in doing that can definitely go up to our website www.bgcpr.org. Um, and you were talking about needs, obviously, just the donation and philanthropy part, just for us to be able to continue doing the work that we do. And you don't have to live in Puerto Rico. We have a lot of families too, or anybody that's interested in coming over for a vacation, but they want to do a service trip. That's also a way to go about it as well, which Discover has always pushed. They've always been very open and provided options for those sort of parts in your group travel. And I think it's just in Discover Puerto Rico's case, it's just putting a spotlight in Puerto Rico, which is what they've been able to be very successful at. And it's understanding that we're a great destination for everything, for just to have fun, but also events and big conferences and sports and just in general. I mean, and we're not just only beaches and sun and piña colada, which is great. But you have so many different things to do and so many climate options here in a matter of just like you can be at the beach and suddenly in 20 minutes be at a mountain and then 20 minutes out and be at the rainforest. So I would just encourage everybody to make sure that Puerto Rico is on your list and that anywhere that you travel, really, if you can ensure to be able to give back to the community for you to go that extra step, then it should be part of.
And the team at Discover Puerto Rico is incredible. I know I mentioned before we hopped on here. I was able to spend a little bit more time with their broader team this summer, and you
Mhm.
could just feel the energy and me wanting not just the pina coladas, but to really
Mhm.
share an experience there, hopefully someday soon. But could you speak to maybe a success story or something that really stands out about the work that you do that can show, on the ground, the impact that your work is making?
Yeah, I mean, and I always talk about this first. A couple of things I always highlight is if we're not willing to make an investment in our youth now, then I'm not sure really what future are we talking about just as a nation in general. And that's one, and definitely how sports plays a role in that. Second of all is the fact that um, kids kids need a lot of things, but we make a big difference as well as far as adults and mentoring. The space that we provide ensures it being a safe space physically, but also mentally. And you'll find, unfortunately, the data says so few kids have a mentor in their lives or an adult that they feel they would go to or trust. um and we're happy to be that for them. We would hope that it wouldn't necessarily be us and that every household would feel as safe, but so I always highlight the fact and ask everybody, do you feel you have been that person for somebody? And if not, it's okay, but have it in your radar and try to be intentional about it. It could be a family member, somebody from the community, anybody, but know that that is a very big piece as well. And also so I guess that's just being intentionally part of their lives. And success stories, I can bring out a couple just very recent is um it's not necessarily in sports, But in music, you'll find that, you know how Bad Bunny just ended his
Yes.
historic 31 shows residency in Puerto Rico, global spotlight. So his music producer, which is the one that is seen at the concert, playing bomba in the center with the long dreadlocks. So he is actually a club kid from Loiza.
Oh,
He's been super talented since forever. All of their like the leaders that worked with him, they're like, you know, just beaming with pride, as we're all. He just went to the Grammys, so we were just super excited for that. We also have, I mean, there's endless stories, but I can say we have one participant that unfortunately she had to, because of bullying, she dropped out of high school, which we know is happening more and more often now. And this is her speaking. She, you know, she tells you her story by saying, you know, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't like life. She was not just going through a depression, but just in general, she felt there was nothing for her to do or give. And she was, you know, going through such a difficult time, her family as well, obviously. And she was able to join one of our programs called Youth Build, which specifically works with high school kids that for whatever reason had to abandon school. She was able to get her GED. She now went and got herself a degree in I think in general regarding beauty and spa. And she's now wanting to be an entrepreneur and open her own spot. And she tells her story saying, you know, now I have purpose. Now I found myself. Now I wanted to go to school. I enjoyed learning. And you look at her mom and you see an adult, a parent that had struggled seeing her kid go through all of that and now saying, I have a new kid, right? And that's a reason why we wake up every day. And you get kids that are graduating and finding scholarships because of volunteers and partners and big collaborators that we have mentoring. Not just, sometimes it's not just about the donation, but people that really are there mentoring the kids. So we have one that just started in one of the best art schools in New York, fully, like with a full scholarship. Um, so, you know, we have amazing stories like those. We have um stories that definitely will break your heart as well, you know. And just the fact that places like these exist are just critical.
I couldn't agree more. And the work you're doing is so special because sometimes people just need community and
Mhm.
a way of looking that, there are brighter things ahead. And I think it's just really incredible the work that you get to do. And so
Thank you.
a lot of our listeners are destinations and groups working within their city. What recommendation would you give to get more involved with local organizations like yours?
Well, I think first off, I mean, our partnership was perfect. You know, you guys just had this big opportunity into giving back through one of your events. Discover Puerto Rico were able to nominate us. So I encourage all of the DMOs to do the same when they get the opportunities. And because that would have been an opportunity that it would have not been available for us, if not through Discover. So we're very appreciative to both of your organizations. And so just even small connections like those can sometimes have such a big impact. And I would say it's also being ambassadors and representatives, right? Like I feel I'm a huge ambassador for Discover and Puerto Rico in general. And I feel that it makes sense that they are also back to the community in general. So I would encourage everybody to do the same. And then when it comes to events, make sure that organizations like ours are part of the events. Like in our case, we have facilities. So like we have courts. So any event that can come our way, we would love to be a host. But let's say it's not, organizations don't necessarily have that all the time, but at least then make them part of the events. Connect to producers. Like we have the WBC coming in next year. MLB is a huge partner of BGCA nationwide. So, how can community be part of that? Right. So, I think we sometimes think it would take a lot or that it might be super complicated, and it's not. And it's not. So even just opportunities for community organizations to have spaces so that their brand awareness grows and their reach grows, I can guarantee you they would be super appreciative for that.
Yeah. I love that, and that's a point I wasn't even thinking about, was just the access to your facilities is just one small
Hmm.
way that you can start to partner with a lot of these tourism bureaus. And you had mentioned before we got on the call that you had a few athletes and a tour come through.
Hmm.
Could you speak to just that experience and what, for the kids within your organization to be able to see stars just, in their building, which I think is just really cool.
And you know what? I think that's a great also example of how it works sort of backwards. So Rebel Athlete is a big BGCA partner. Their founder has been part of the movement in mainland. So when they were thinking of doing their annual photo shoot, they had selected Puerto Rico, which it's big, it's their first time, so it's huge for us. And then so they were able to reach out to us first, and then we connected them to the DMO. We were like, you need
Amazing.
to ensure that you are talking to Discover Puerto Rico to help you out and just ensure that our destination is properly represented and that you can get to visit the best places and have the best experience. Um, and we were able to, I think that's a great example of how they had their trip. It's a business trip, it's for their brand. They are publishing this catalog, but they did have one day where they ensure they have a program called Rebel Gives Back, that they would do something with the community. So what we did is just like 3 days ago, we stopped at a local cheers team gym, and we took around 60 of our kids, and they performed live in front of everybody wearing Rebel. So they got a big uniform donation from them. So they were Rebel athletes for a day, and just kids were ecstatic. Particularly cheer and dance, have a great opportunity to continue to grow in Puerto Rico. So just for them to be able to really see cheer is a sport. I can get scholarships. This could be my future. And especially for the boys too, that they can also be part of that. And I mean, they were just a little bit starstruck. So there were a couple of elite cheerleaders coming in, including Gabby Butler. So obviously, just for the kids to have that opportunity and be featured in their social medias and all of that. A couple of them I don't think really knew how big and viral that's gonna go. So we're excited to show final results for them and live like a professional athlete for a couple
Yeah,
of.
yeah. Oh, that's incredible, and I love that. I mean, those are just 2 great success stories of the importance of partnership and how
Mhm.
that came about, and so I think that's so important in what we do within our industry, and so thank you for sharing both of those. And so just to finish up, if anyone wants to learn more about your organization or get more involved, how would they do so?
Yes, I mean, they can personally look me up, and I answer all of the everybody that wants to help, I'll answer directly, but they can definitely go to www.bgcpr.org, and we are in all of our social medias. Handles tend to be the same, BGCPR. So please feel free to reach out. We'll ensure you to connect. And hey, sometimes we do get people that reach out and they want to do something in particular. It might not even end up being with our organization for whatever reason, but we make sure that the help gets to Puerto Rico. So we'll connect you with whomever is the best fit. But definitely just ensure that giving back to the community is part of your daily thought. And there's many ways to do it, from going very simple and that might not require that much of your time to bigger ideas that you might have.
Amazing. And it has been such a pleasure getting to know you more and your organization. And I just want to thank you for all of the work that you're doing. You're truly making a difference. And knowing the Discover Puerto Rico team, you guys are true champions of where you live, and I just think it's really special and reminds me of why I love my job so much, to be able to connect with people like you. So, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Until next time. Bye.